Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Reardon's Reviews. I'm Jeffrey, thanks for watching, and today, in particular, we're going to be looking at Swedish Mausers and how to read their stock discs. This is a little area of confusion for some people, and there's not that many great tutorials about them, so let's dive right in and see if we can get this cleared up. Okay, first things first is, we'll notice when we turn the stock over and look at it. I'm going to bring the camera in a little bit. That the disc is upside down. Well, that's because these were actually made to be read from the shooter's position. So, we turn them up like this. Let's get in position here. Let's see what we can do. Perfect. Now, we'll notice that they are in position. Okay, so let's start by saying there's two different styles and three different kinds of discs. Now, there are also range decals and plaques, which I am not going to be going over in this video because I don't have an example. Mine doesn't have that. It has the later style of stock disc with the bore condition. So getting back to that, the two different styles of discs are unit markings, the oldest style, and then two different styles of bore conditions. This being the later style, we'll have, focus here, more numbers on it and starting numbers right here. That's about the only difference. So let's jump right into it, shall we? Okay. As you can see, there's three different pieces of the pie here. So what do they say? What do they mean? Okay, well, let's look at the biggest piece. Happens to start out with 6.46 on the bottom with some numbers, and then 6.51 at the top and some numbers. Now everybody knows that this is a 6.5 millimeter rifle. So if we look at the very biggest disc, we're going to see 6.46 as the bore diameter. There we go. 6.47. Mine happens to be marked 6.48. Okay. So my bore diameter, when it left the arsenal this time, was 6.48. My barrel condition is condition number 1. If there was no triangle here, it would be condition 0, a brand new barrel. Now, sometimes you'll find these with multiple triangle stamps on them, here and here. What you want to do in that case is read the topmost number, which would be the biggest. So, say I had another stamp over the 3 right here in the bore condition. I wouldn't be 6.48 in diameter. I would be all the way up to 6.51, 2, 3. So my bore diameter would be 6.53. And then same thing with the bottom. I wouldn't be condition 1 barrel. If it was on the 2, I'd be condition 2 barrel, even though there's still a stamp on the 1. You want to read the highest most numbers on both of those. Now, you'll never find a 3 because once it got to 3 with a little rust in the bore, they would change it out. So, and I will say that a condition 3 barrel in Sweden is still a very serviceable barrel almost anywhere else in the world. It's just you have to have very high standards when you don't have that many men fighting. So, in recap, biggest piece of the pie, bore diameter. Smallest piece of the pie, bore condition. Now, let's get to this section over here that has the different words in it. This has to do with the cartridges. In 1894, Sweden adopted the 6.5 by 55 millimeter cartridge with a 156 round nose projectile. Around the turn of the century, 1905, 1908, 1906, people started adopting a Spitzer bullet. Pointed, flew better, more aerodynamic, lighter, and faster. Well, Sweden didn't adopt one until 1941. Hence it being designated the M41 cartridge. So there was a lot of these rifles out there that were still very serviceable with very good bores that didn't need to come in for refurb. So what they did was They just added this later style stock disc after they went to the M41 cartridge and told you how high or how much holdover you'd have to get. So, like I said, torped, torpedo bullet, or Spitzer projectile, overslog. How much holdover do you need if you're shooting with these sights, but you're using the M41 projectile instead of the M94 projectile? Streck. There are 6,300 Streck in a circle. So this tells you your actual holdover. Now, mine has 0 or no numbers right here. That means my sights are sighted in for M41 Spitzer. Go ahead and aim and adjust. Fire as normal. So that's what I would do. If you had any number in there, then you would have to look to your range decal, which I don't have, to see your holdover and see what setting you'd have to set your sights to with the M41 to make it hit at certain other lengths, basically. So there's all of that. Now, the very last thing that you need to know to tell if it was sighted in for a Spitzer projectile or not is to look at the very front sight. Let's get this in here. Get a little light on it. There we go. See that T right there? That tells you that the front sight is regulated for the torpedo bullet, better known as the Spitzer bullet. So y'all, that's pretty much that. We have the beautiful darling of the Milsurp world right here. The M96 Carl Gustaf rifle, made in 1911. And now you can be a little more confident in reading your stock disc when you go to a gun show or you're in a gun store, and you can impress your buddies, and you can just in general be a little more familiar with the rifles and what the markings mean. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Until next time, cheers.